All right. Welcome in. Welcome in. I am just getting our Facebook pages pulled up here real quick. Hopefully, they will work this time. Get the wheels going, and looks like we're good to go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Building the Broncos. I know it's been a few weeks. Unfortunately, our show just kind of fell on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. We kind of figured everybody was a little bit busy with family and friends, but we are back, and what a time to be back. Broncos are in the playoffs. Uh, I've been waiting to say that on this show since 2017. That's how long, or 2006. It's been a long time. Um, I can't believe it's finally here. I remember as a kid, the Broncos were really good because John Elway was the quarterback, and they were pretty much in the playoffs every year. When I was in middle school, the Broncos won 2 Super Bowls in a row, and I kind of thought, man, this is easy. Like, I'm cheering for the best team in football, and they just always win. I don't have to worry about it, and it was so awesome to be a part of. And then all of a sudden, we hit some of the dark days. They weren't terrible by any means after that. I mean, there was kind of some up and down seasons, some playoffs, some not there, but no, it was. I took for granted how good it was to be a playoff team. And then, of course, we had the Peyton Manning years where playoffs every single year. And so this one just feels so much sweeter considering it's been 9 years for the Broncos to get into the playoffs. And I'm sure all of you are feeling that too. I want you guys in the chat talking about it, what it means to you. We'll try to get you guys up on here. But we got David coming in, Papa Bear with a $5 super chat. Always great to see you. One of those guys from the very beginning believed in this team. He says, good evening, Broncos country. Hashtag 1 and 0. Let's go, Bo. MHH for life. Hashtag Buckham ×3. Hashtag Denver Broncos for life. Hashtag Knicks for 6. Hashtag SEAL Team Knicks. There we go. David, thank you very much. And I hope your prediction's right again. I mean, you're 1 for 1. You might as well go 2 for 2. I mean, how crazy would it be? 1, for the Broncos to go in there and beat the Bills. Nobody is giving them a chance. But then you get to play the Chiefs, and you get a chance to possibly end their chance for a three-peat. And I just have to say, history-wise, last time a team was trying for the three-peat was the New England Patriots. Who did they lose to stop their three-peat? The Denver Broncos. That was the Champ Bailey 100-yard interception return that I can't remember who caught him at the 1-yard line. And they had that whole controversy. Did it get knocked out at the 1-yard line? Did it go through the end zone? Whatever it was. But yeah, Broncos won that game. Was pretty awesome to see. Obviously, Ben Watson, that's the name of the guy. So yes, maybe the Broncos could repeat history once again. We'll just have to see out there. We're going to be talking about a few different subjects. But like I said, we're going to be talking about playoffs. Any questions you guys have about that? We're also going to be talking about the man, the myth, the legend, Patrick Surtain, turning into, he's going to go down, barring injury, knock on wood, everybody. He's going to go down as a top 5 defender in Broncos history. We got David Youngkin saying PS2 does deserve it, but will it happen? Who knows? And what he's talking about is the defensive player of the year. Right now, Patrick Surtain has the best odds, if you are a betting person, to win the award this year. Now, voters in the past have had a lot of trouble wanting to vote for cornerbacks because they don't put up the gaudy stats. They don't get the sack numbers. They usually, if you're a good cornerback, you're not getting past that, so you don't have the interceptions. And Donald Willison Jr. says, PS2's stats speak for themselves. He is the defensive player of the year. Yeah, I wanted to give you guys just some stats to back this up of why he should be defensive player of the year. So this year, when he has gone up against the number 1 wide receiver of another team, he is allowing a quarterback rating of 8.2. That just seems crazy when you're thinking of some of the names he's gone against. George Pickens, DK Metcalf, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I'm trying to think. DeAndre Hopkins, Brock Bowers, Jerry Jeudy. I'm trying to remember some of the others. Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans. a guy that just got $3 million for having a 1,000-yard season, pretty much had nothing against Pat Surtain. I mean, and just to show the other side of it, when other Bronco cornerbacks have gone against the number one receiver in man coverage, quarterback rating of 140. So 8 for Patrick Surtain, 140 for all those other guys. It's been a crazy season what he's been able to do out there week in, week out. He's going to shut down that side of the field. And the fact that he has 4 interceptions, has the touchdown return against the Raiders that really turned that entire game around for the Broncos. There's just so many great things that you could point towards and say, this is why he deserves it. And we've got Chase Milner saying, go Carl. Yeah, I am going solo tonight, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Nick is still on the road, getting his family back home. And we've got Roy Osborne saying, hey there, Carl. Nice to see you. It's been a long while, but yeah, it really has. I hate having to miss this show and having to miss it the last couple of weeks just because of holidays and stuff like that. It's been, I've hated having to do that because I would, of course, love talking Bronco football with you all. And of course, especially in this kind of season where it's a special one, Broncos going out there. I know this last game, a lot of people are going to say, they don't deserve the win because they went against the Chiefs backups. 1, there were still some starters out there. 2, it's the NFL. I'm sorry. Like nobody's going to be, give you that chance if it was reversed. We can't go against that. There's like 2 or 3 other teams that were sitting starters, and I don't see anybody else complaining except for Bengals fans. For some reason, I mean, there's a petition going around right now on change.org. You can actually go check this out. It has it has close to 25,000 signatures from Bengals fans saying that the NFL should punish the Chiefs for throwing that last game. It's just crazy. But anyway, Broncos are in. However they got in, they got in. They've earned it. They won 9 other games playing against starters. It's not like they were completely incompetent the rest of the games in the NFL. But anyway, I did also want to just say hi to everybody out there. Thank you guys for tuning in. We got Daniel Berry Sports coming in saying, what's up, everyone? Good to see you once again. Pro 16. So the Broncos beat the Bills. I'm hoping that's what we're saying next Tuesday. And we're going to throw a giant party if that is the case here on the show. And I mean, I'm not saying that it's a 0% chance, but obviously there's a lot of things working against the Broncos. Bills are great. They're great on both sides of the ball. They're very disciplined teams. They've got a lot of experience in the playoffs. They're at home. They've got probably not going to win the MVP, but Josh Allen right there, top 3 guy for MVP. They've got a strong running game. They've just got a lot of things that are good. Not saying the Broncos don't either. You don't win 10 games if you don't have some good things on your team. But it's going to be a tough one for the Broncos to pull off. I think they're going to have to get a couple turnovers that bounce their way, kind of like they did last year when the Broncos went into Buffalo and won. So again, we know it's possible. And we got Mile High Huddle saying if the Bengals had beaten the Chiefs in week 2, they would have made the playoffs. Yeah, there's a lot of things. They could have beat Patriots week 1, but they laid an egg against one of the worst teams in football. Cody W coming in saying, all pro Bonito, finished number 3 in sacks. Pay this man. I think we're going to look back here in a few years, and we're going to look at these past couple drafts and look at some of these names, like a Nick Bonito, who was not a household name going into the season. And now he's in the Pro Bowl. I don't think he'll be first team all pro, but he should be in the running there for second team all pro. Zach Allen should be up there too. You think about these guys when everybody was looking at this Broncos roster to start the season. And I remember Mark Schlereth talking about this, and he was talking to some people that didn't believe in the Broncos. They're making fun of him. And they said, well, there's no talent on this team. He's like, it's not that there's no talent. It's just a lot of people you don't know. There's going to become a time where they are known. It's like that. It takes some time for players that are unknown to become known. And the Broncos lacking those first round picks. Everybody knows the first round players when it comes to the draft. We see it on this show. Thankfully, we've got a great following for the draft, which I really, really appreciate. But that first round, like everybody wants to tune in. And then we get to the second day and the third day, and that's when we get to see the real the draft lovers of football. The guys that are just like us, that just live and breathe that kind of stuff. And they know some of those names. Most people know the first round; they don't know beyond that. So we got Michael Ronquillo coming in here with some stars saying, "Good evening, Carl. I'm building the Broncos. Go Bo Broncos." Great to see you, Michael. I did find my Bo Nix jersey. I tore my house apart, and whether it was me, whether it was one of my kids, they're not around, so I could throw them under the bus at this time. It got hidden in a box. I don't know how that happened, but I found it. I've been wearing it here these last couple of weeks. Wore it on Sunday, and loved that I just got to really just sit back and enjoy that entire game. Like it felt like from the very beginning, Broncos were locked in, ready to go. That was going to be an easy win. And sometimes it's just fun to sit and watch that and just, like I said, just bask in it, just enjoy it. And hopefully that's what we get to do on Sunday again. We got David Kilgore coming in with the 1999 super chat. Thank you so much, saying, who do you see us going after in free agency? Oh, that's a great question. There's some names I really, really hope so. There's a couple linebackers I think we've seen over, especially this last month. Teams, I get Riley Moss hasn't been healthy, so that's been part of it. But the position that teams have been targeting is our linebackers. And so a guy like Zach Bond, who just had an incredible season, I would love to go get him. I think there's Dre Greenlaw's another one for the linebacker position. He's had a pretty good year. There's just a few names out there that I would definitely look at. Defensive line, I'd continue to add to it. DJ Jones, we don't know if he's going to be back. If he's not, you got to keep adding to it. And especially Zach Allen, again, great season. But you cannot ask that guy to do another season of 900 plus snaps. That is ridiculous. The next closest had like 700 for the position. So you need to find some better rotational for that defensive line. And then there's a couple tight ends, depending on who hits free agency. I think Gesicki is one of them that could be out there. I think he'd be okay. You're not going to find anything great by any means. And then I'd also find a veteran running back. I know everybody's excited about going to the draft and getting yourself a running back, and the Broncos should. But I also want that veteran that you can plug in there, not put all the pressure on the rookie and say, hey, by the way, jump in, you've got to go be a star day one. Like you can have a veteran working with them. So like Aaron Jones is going to hit the market again. Cam Akers is another one I think that's going to be out there. J.K. Dobbins, I know he's had a lot of injury history. So there's a few names from the running back market that I wouldn't mind seeing here in Denver, just as that veteran presence that you can lean on when you really need somebody, especially early in the season, to help protect your quarterback. So has anybody else got any other names? You can throw them into the chat and we'll talk about them. But we got Gary Palmer coming in with a 1999 super saying, thank you so much, saying, Carl, it's good to see you. Thanks for soloing. Go Broncos. Sorry. Yeah, Gary, great to see you as well. I always love to see that name prop up. You got a new one. It's usually come up just with your name up there. So Gary Palmer, 719. Good to see you, man. And appreciate you tuning in. Like I said, with everybody else. And Patrick, our thankful coffee supplier. I have people ask all the time about my coffee because people drink it and they're like, where did you get this? And I say, well, let me tell you about this guy named Patrick. Saying aloha, Mr. Dumler. Aloha to you as well, Patrick. Hope the new year's treating you and everybody else in the chat well. And just great to see you. And it's all smiles here. I think if we said at the beginning of the year that let's say we lose on Sunday. I know, sorry, shouldn't get those vibes out there. But if I said at the beginning of the season, Broncos are going to win 10 games, they're going to make the playoffs, and Bo Nix is going to prove that he is your franchise quarterback, at least for the next few years, I think every single one of us would have taken that and just celebrated to no end. Like that would be the perfect season I know we still all hope that it ends in a Super Bowl, but if we were trying to be as realistic as we possibly could on the very high end of what we think the Broncos could do, I think at the beginning of the year we would all take that and run to the bank and deposit that. And so it really has. It's everything from here on out is just icing on the cake. It's just been a great season for the Broncos. Couldn't have asked for better things to happen for them. Again, you've got a lot of your great players locked up. You're getting yourself out of cap hell. You've got your quarterback in place. You've got some players that have emerged as true foundational players. Before the season, you would say probably Miners and Pat Surtain. I'm not sure you would say much beyond those two. Now you've got yourself Bonito. You've got yourself Bo Nix, obviously. Marvin Mims is starting to add himself to that list. Cortland Sutton. We got Phil McLaughlin saying, Happy New Year, all of you. Thank you as well there, Phil. Same to you. Hope everybody's having a great new year. I mean, how could you not? Broncos in the playoffs. It's just a beautiful start to the 2025 year. Couldn't have asked for a better start to it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Got some people asking about wide receiver 2 in the chat. Got David Kilgore saying, what about wide receiver 2? Yeah, I think Marvin Mims is kind of a weird number 2. He's not what you would picture if you're saying, hey, yeah, Broncos have their number 1, Cortland Sutton. Now we're looking for this guy over here. He's not lining up in that Z position that you see a lot of number 2 wide receivers are in. He's coming out of the backfield. He's, kind of the motion guy. He's doing a lot of extra things. And so, yeah, you need that chain mover. There's a few of them in the draft that I really do like that we'll talk about more when we get into draft content. There are a couple wide receivers in free agency that you could definitely be looking at. As long as they're not costing you a ton. Amari Cooper is definitely one of those guys that's been around the league for a long time, can be a nice veteran presence for you. Those kind of guys, like I said, they're not going to cost you an arm and a leg, but they can come in and be a decently impact player. Vele, I really liked Vele earlier in the year. He's really kind of tailed off here at the end of the season. I know he had that touchdown this last game, but when Bo Nix was talking about that play, he said, yeah, Vele ran the wrong route. That's not a good look. That's not a guy that you can trust if he's running a wrong route. And yes, it ended in a touchdown, but that has more to do with luck than it does actual skill at that point, with it being, bouncing off 3 different people. And so I'm not saying he can't emerge as a number 2. He's had some really good games. He shows he can be a great third down option for you. He's very consistent with his hands. He's just got to get in that playbook all off season. He's got to become that really, truly trusted guy that when coaches come up and say, hey, Vele, and spout off the 20-word play and say, what are you doing? And he can go, hey, if they're running a cover 2, I'm doing this. If they're running man coverage, I'm doing this. If they're doing zone, I'm doing this. Like, that's what we need to see from him, is just to have that growth in his playbook. And Bo Nix the same way. We saw one play where he messed up. Everybody else was thinking it was a pitch to the left for a run play, and Bo Nix thought it was a pitch to the right. And all of a sudden he had to do a little bit of a scramble drill to try to, kind of get up the middle and pick up a first down. Those things happen when you have rookies at key positions. They're not going to know everything perfectly. And this is where the growth for the entire roster can happen. You've got a very young roster, as Sean Payton just kept saying, that they can be young and hungry. And, they're young and dangerous. Like they just, a lot of times they don't know that they can be this dangerous. They don't know that they shouldn't be winning this game, whatever it may be. And so it's great that you have this young team, but there are going to be some mistakes along the way. And so, yeah, I like our wide receiver core. It'd be nice to add, I would say, one more really nice piece that you can depend on it and become that possession guy, the third down guy that you can trust to go make a play. that can be in the right spot when you absolutely need them. And we got Pro 16K saying if Denver gets past the Bills, anything is possible. Yeah, they would be riding high confidence wise. If you can go into Buffalo and take down the number 2 team, you got to start believing that you can take down anybody. You think about who has Buffalo beat this year? They beat the number 1 seed, the Chiefs. They beat the number 1 seed, the Detroit Lions. So if you can take down that kind of team, and then, I mean, obviously you got Kansas City the next week. I think that there's a chance they could have a little bit of a struggle early in that game. I'm glad that they sat their starters, but I think it probably might have been a better idea for them to at least play them for the first quarter, just because it'll have been, I think it's something like 26 days since their starters have played a game by the time they play next week. That's a long time to be not out there playing football. I get it. You want to protect players. You want to keep them healthy, all that kind of stuff. But there is something to say of not going out there hitting somebody, and then all of a sudden you're back out there, and you have the Broncos who are just coming off a game where they were out there crushing people, and they're, like I said, riding high, ready to go. I think the Broncos could catch them. I think anybody that would play the Chiefs, whether it's the Broncos, whether it's the Chargers, whoever it might be, I think there's a chance. And they might be kicking themselves going, man, we shouldn't have done that. We shouldn't have sat everybody week 18 like we did. I don't know. We'll just have to see how that plays out. Got to win this week, obviously. Josh Allen. It's going to take a lot. But we got Michael Ronquillo saying Bills quarterback Josh Allen has to win a Super Bowl. If not, he is a fraud quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. I'm always torn on this because I still think you could make the argument that the best pure passer of the football to ever play the game is Dan Marino. I mean, that guy, if you ever got a chance, I know some people might be too young to have remembered him. I remember at least a little bit of his football playing. That guy was awesome. And unfortunately, he just never quite had the team around him to win. We got US Dave saying Marino was no fraud. And I think Josh Allen could maybe find himself in a similar boat. That he just, unfortunately, I think Buffalo has a little bit of a disadvantage. If I was a free agent, now Buffalo's a good team, and that would probably factor into it. But if I had to make the choice between going and living in Buffalo or living in Miami, I'm sorry, I like warm weather. I'm not a cold weather kind of guy. Like right now, it's 0 degrees where I'm at, and I hate it. I would love to be anywhere else. Like my wife and I are talking about vacation for next year. A lot of times we take our vacation early December, and we're talking about heading south just to get to some warm weather, go to the beach, hang out, those kind of things. That would be a good time. And so I do think a little bit for Buffalo, they have to kind of think through that of what kind of free agents can we even get sometimes to really improve our team. And then they're always going to have, obviously, you got Patrick Mahomes at his peak with Andy Reid. That's always going to be a tough place to get over. But we got Cody W with $2 super coming in with some other names for free agents. If you're looking at wide receiver, we got Diggs. I'm staying away. ACL tear. Pretty much every team that has lost him has kind of celebrated and actually done better once he leaves. The Broncos have a great locker room right now. I think that's one of the most important parts that they have of why they've been able to win this year. Got Higgins. I think he's going to be way too expensive for what he brings. Another injury guy that I don't know if he can stay healthy. Keenan Allen, getting up there in age, but obviously a very consistent guy. Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin. I know that's the guy that Nick really wants for the Broncos to go after. He should be healthy. He'd be a really good possession receiver for him. We got Cooks as well. Obviously he's worked with Sean Payton before, so wouldn't surprise me if they decide to go a little bit that direction. I think the Broncos will probably bring in at least one more wide receiver, either through the draft or free agency, just to round out this group. They've been better than anybody ever thought they would be this year. You know, it's kind of beginning of the year, it was Cortland Sutton, and who else do we got? Now it's Cortland Sutton, looks great. Marvin Mims has become a touchdown machine. Uh, Vele, depending on the day. You're hoping Troy Franklin can develop a little bit more for next season. You know, mostly he's just got to get his head in the game. I know everybody talks about the not the Chargers game, the Bengals game where he got overthrown. Well, if you watch his route, he kind of just started jogging at one point. Bo Nix was thrown to a spot thinking, hey, he's running full speed. This is where I need to hit him. So I think it was actually a decent throw. It just, Troy Franklin, that's going to be a big time learning experience for him of, hey, yeah, you might not get a ton of passes in a game, but you got to be ready when it does come to you. Like, we need you going 100% on every route, just in case our number one is covered and we're coming back to you on this other side for the big play. So we'll have to see how much he can really learn from that. I mean, we saw Marvin Mims, like what he's done year 2. Year 1, not much of a weapon as a wide receiver. Year 2, he's turned into something very special for this team right now. And I love Sean Payton. I think he's one of the best at finding creative ways to take advantage of a player's skill set. You know, it's why he's been able to have tight ends have success, slot receivers have success, running backs have success. You know, he's been able to define, hey, this is the weapon that I can use. This is how I can use them. And he's figuring that out with Marvin Mims. It's why, you know, Marvin Mims was his very first draft pick. He traded up to get that guy. And I was a huge Marvin Mims fan. He was like the one wide receiver in that entire draft that I was like, I really hope the Broncos get this guy. And I'm really glad that I'm kind of being proven right. Now, he's not your typical wide receiver. If he was in a traditional offense, I don't think he'd be doing what he's doing. But he's definitely taking advantage of what he can do. And the Broncos are finding ways to get him football. So it's great to see. And I hope that can continue for the Broncos moving forward with him. And we got Phil coming in. I think this is a great question here. He says, Carl, what's the keys to win on Sunday? So I'd say a few here. One, tackling has to be your best tackling game of the season. Buffalo, especially Josh Allen. He is big. He is strong. He's one of the least sacked quarterbacks in all of football. He's got a great offensive line in front of him, but when pressure does get there, he's able to a lot of times just kind of shake a defender off and still keep his eyes down the field or take off running, whatever you need. You've got to be great at tackling and gang tackling to make sure that he can't escape. Broncos have done pretty good at this, but there's been a couple games where they have not been the best on their best when it comes to, you know, making sure that those extra yards are not picked up. Second thing, and Broncos have been up and down in this area as well. You've got to be disciplined in how you rush Josh Allen. You know, the Broncos did really, really good with this last year when they played the Bills. But this year they've had a couple times, like Lamar Jackson was able to get out of the pocket. Patrick Mahomes a couple times was able to get out of the pocket. You know, if you give up that run lane, if the Broncos are going to play especially a lot of man coverage, which that's what they're best at on the back end. And to me, if that's what you do best, just go for it. I get it with a quarterback that can run. Ideally, you'd rather play zone so that those defenders are not having their back to the quarterback if he's able to break contain. But you got to trust, hey, our defensive line is going to hold up. Secondary is going to do their job, and we're going to be able to get this guy down. Offensively, I wish I could say Broncos need to run the football. Problem is they just cannot run the football. It's unfortunate that they struggle so much with that. At least being consistent. You know, they don't really have great running backs. I think the offensive line has been up and down. You know, they'll have a drive where they look really good run blocking. And then the very next play or the next drive, a defender will be right there in the backfield, taking them for a -3 play. So, you know, the offensive line obviously has to hold up well. I think the big thing with the run game, it's you got to keep them guessing. And this is where I would say, okay, Bo Nix, I know we've kind of, especially second half of the season, not had you running a ton. But this is that game where we're going to have you making them question who has the ball. Is it the running back coming across, or is it you going the other way? And we got to make sure that we're slowing them down just by making them have to pay attention to who has the ball. You know, Bo Nix has done great with the scrambles, but I would have probably 4 or 5 quarterback run play designs, or at least ones where there's the option of him taking off running. And again, it's just to keep them guessing on how they're going to have to do that. Um, and then the other thing is just you got to keep yourself ahead of the sticks. And this is why, again, I'm saying for Bo Nix to be able to run, if you're in third and long situations all game long, the Broncos are not going to do well. It's just not going to be the way it works. And so that's why I'm trying to mix in Bo Nix as much as possible. And I'm telling them, hey, like we protected you most of the year. This is that game where we're just going to let you go loose. We're going to say, hey, Bo Nix, if you see a run lane, do it. If you see an opening where that defender is crashing down and heading towards the running back, you hold on to that ball and you take off. We saw this last game. Like Bo Nix, he's a lot faster. I would love to see him run a 40. I know he didn't do it at the combine. He didn't do it at his pro day. I would love to see what his actual 40 time is, because there were some defenders that took really bad angles at him in that Chiefs game. Now, some of that could just be because they were backup players and not used to being on the field, but he's made more than just these backups. He's made others look silly, trying to think that they knew how fast he was. So I would definitely be going that way. I would, as Donald Wilson says, live and die by the blitz. Maybe not quite to that, but you definitely got to take some chances. You need some turnovers in this game to turn the tide, and especially early in the game. I would take some chances early in this game. Try to kind of sock them in the mouth, see if you can catch them off guard and make them kind of go, oh, crap, what's going on? Like we did not expect any of that. That's what I'd kind of be doing on that defensive side of the ball. And we got KW saying Bo hit 22 miles per hour. That's cooking. That's pretty impressive for a quarterback that's not known for running. At least at the college level, he really wasn't known for it. And so anyway, we're going to get out of here pretty soon. So I really do want to say how much I appreciate all of you tuning in here to Building the Broncos. Great to be back with all of you, and great to be talking some playoff football for the Denver Broncos. And I can't believe we're finally here. You know, all of you, I've seen some of your guys' names on here for pretty much since we started doing live shows. And I just want to say how much I appreciate you guys sticking with us through all of these difficult years. You know, the true fans. I've heard the saying for a wife, find yourself a husband that has a team that they've been cheering for the exact same team since they were like 8 years old, because those are the guys that are loyal. You know, those are the ones that'll stick with you through thick and thin, because that's what we do with our team. We've stuck with the Broncos through the best of times, through the worst of times. And now we get to be there right here, right now, at least in the best of times. So thank you guys for tuning in. But before we get out of here, I did just want to say real quick that Underdog is one of our sponsors for the show. And Underdog is the place to play if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching sports. Join over 5 million fans who are already playing on Underdog. With their pick'em game, you could win money by making entries with your favorite players. Compete against other players just by selecting higher or lower on 2 or more player stats. And you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Turn every touchdown into a win with Underdog. With their champs game, you could win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats like passing yards, interceptions, touchdowns, and much more. Like, for example, will Bo Nix have higher or lower than 231.5 passing yards next week? Will Nix have higher or lower than 1.5 passing touchdowns? Every dog deserves a second chance, and with Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose. Download the Underdog app today and use code MHuddle to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, download the Underdog app today and use our code MHuddle to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Every player, every touchdown. Just select higher or lower on Underdog. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Guys, I just want to let you know again, thank you guys for being here tonight, being here through all the thick and thin, through another great season for the Broncos. Hopefully it's not ending this week. Hopefully we're not getting into our off-season content quite yet the next time I see you guys. But thank you for everyone also that gave super chats, stars. We got Cody McElrath, we got Cody W, Michael Ronquillo, David Kilgore, Gary Palmer, Patrick Wiltsey, Cody W again, Phil McLaughlin coming in as well. Thank you guys, all of you, for all the support. Thank you for everyone that's liked. That's one of the best ways that you guys can help us is just by liking, subscribing, and sharing, our shows every single week, every single day. And again, be cheering with all of you on Sunday. Hopefully, we'll be coming back to talk about what do the Broncos got to do to beat the Kansas City Chiefs and stop their three-peat next Sunday. Thank you all, and have a great night.